The images of the three Israeli hostages, Or, Eli, and Ohad, released from Hamas captivity after 491 days, emaciated shells of their former selves, has shocked U.S. President Donald Trump. Trump said he saw the footage of the men reminiscent of Holocaust survivors, and he threatened that he was losing patience with Hamas. The details in the following report.
I watched the hostages come back today, and they look like Holocaust survivors. They were in horrible condition. They were emaciated. It looked like many years ago, the Holocaust survivors. And I don't know how much longer we can take that when I watch that.
U.S. President Donald Trump expressed his shock over seeing the conditions of the three Israeli hostages, Or Levi, Eli Sharabi, and Ohad Ben Ami, who were released from Hamas captivity on Saturday. Speaking to the press on board Air Force One en route to the Super Bowl, Trump expressed skepticism about the hostage for ceasefire deal.
I know we have a deal where we're supposed to get, they dribble in and keep dribbling in, but they are in really bad shape. They have been treated brutally, horribly. Even the ones that came out earlier, they were in a little bit better shape, but mentally they were treated so badly. Who could take that?
Barely containing his anger at the treatment of the hostages, Trump said he would soon lose his patience with Hamas.
You know, at some point, we're going to lose our patience. When I see that scene that I saw today with people coming out of helicopters and airplanes that are emaciated, that look like they haven't had a meal in a month. There's no reason for that, and I don't know how much longer we can take it.
And in other news, the full cabinet met last night for a first discussion on the creation of a state commission of inquiry into the failures leading to the October 7th Hamas onslaught. This is the first time the cabinet considered the issue of an inquiry and came following a directive from the Supreme Court to hold a hearing on the issue. After 4 hours of deliberations, the ministers decided to hold another meeting on the state inquiry in 90 days' time. The Security Cabinet will also meet tomorrow to consider Phase 2 in the hostage for ceasefire deal with Hamas. Mid-level talks are currently underway in Doha, with the contacts focused on matters relating to the first phase handovers. 3 more hostages are set to be released on Saturday. And Israel Katz says there will be a policy of zero tolerance for Gazans approaching the border. The warning from the defense minister came after 3 Palestinians were killed by soldiers when dozens of Palestinians approached within hundreds of meters of the border in northern Gaza. More from ILTV's Steve Leibovitz.
The Israeli defense minister says the policy is clear. Anyone who enters the buffer zone next to the border puts their lives at risk. Defense Minister Katz added, "We will not return to the pre-October 7th days." The movement of Palestinians toward the border began as the IDF withdrew from the Netzarim corridor near Nahal Oz, as required in the hostage ceasefire agreement. Israel was required to withdraw from the entire corridor and only maintain presence in a buffer of up to about 1 kilometer along the entire Gaza-Israel border. Defense Minister Katz said there will be a policy of zero tolerance for Gazans approaching the border. The warning came after 3 Palestinians were killed by soldiers after dozens of Palestinians approached within hundreds of meters of the border in northern Gaza. The scenes of approaching Palestinians caused outrage among Gaza border residents. The Otef Israel Forum, representing hundreds of residents in Israeli communities near Gaza, expressed outrage, demanding stricter security measures. They want the government to declare the buffer zone a dead zone with zero-tolerance policy toward infiltration. The IDF issued a statement saying it's devoted to protect Israeli residents and will continue to act against any violations.
And as we approach the final weeks of Phase 1 of the hostage deal, negotiations are supposed to be underway for Phase 2 of the deal, but have yet to gain any real momentum. Joining us now with more on the hostage for ceasefire deal and the security situation and considerations in Gaza is Brigadier General Amir Avivi, the chairman and founder of the Israel Defense and Security Forum. Great to have you in the studio today.
Thank you very much.
So I want to start, we saw U.S. President Trump expressing his shock over the condition of the hostages that we saw released on Saturday. The world has expressed their shock. There's now a heightened sense of urgency to bring the hostages home. But here we also have Trump expressing skepticism as to the hostages deal, as to its timeline. What do you make of his statement and his sort of threat to Hamas?
I think we're all shocked, and we know they're held by monsters. And I think that we're in a very, very complex situation. We're in stage one. We negotiated this stage for more than half a year. And it's not the difficult part. The difficult part is the second stage. And I think that when we talk about the second stage, Israel is saying clearly, second stage, you Hamas, your leaders need to leave Gaza, you need to lay down your weapons, and you need to give us all the hostages. Now, what are the chances of this happening just by talking about it? They're not very high. So I think that a realistic thing that might happen in the coming months is that hopefully we'll do the whole first stage. Hopefully, I'm not even sure that this will happen.
That the first stage will be
the first stage will be done fully. I don't know. It's not certain. We could try and extend it. Say to Hamas, let's continue the first stage, continue releasing 3-4 hostages every week, and we'll extend the ceasefire and continue bringing into Gaza humanitarian aid and so on. And this will give Hamas more time to organize, to release more prisoners, everything they want to do. But if this is not going to happen, there is a good chance that when we reach the beginning of March, they will stop giving us hostages, and we'll have no choice but to go back to a full-scale war in Gaza, which will be conducted completely differently from what we have seen until now. The army is thinking about new operational ideas, which we'll, of course, won't discuss here, but definitely are different from what they did before. And they're also going to treat completely differently the issue of the humanitarian aid. It's obvious that we cannot continue with this idea that we're giving Hamas the humanitarian aid. They're controlling their people through the humanitarian aid and also making a lot of money and recruiting many, many terrorists to the organization. This needs to stop. Yep. And I think that when President Trump said, if you don't give the hostages, there will be hell, the point in which we have to implement this idea of hell will be probably at the end of the first stage. I'm very, very skeptic that we'll manage to move to the second stage and really achieve what we want to achieve, all goals of war, eradicating Hamas as a governmental and military entity, bringing all the hostages back and creating a completely new reality in Gaza.
And yet, Israel has already just today, fully withdrawn from the Netzarim corridor. How does this affect, the security situation for Israel, if it were to have to go back into Gaza? I mean, how does this change the situation there?
Well, I must say that this is reversible. Israel can take control again of Netzarim corridor in a matter of hours if they decide to do so. Israel could push the Gazans again south if they decide to do so. This is reversible. What is more complicated is the release of thousands of murderous terrorists into Judea and Samaria and outside of Gaza. These terrorists are going to try and build militias, small terror armies. This is the huge problem we need to deal with. And this will require, once this deal is over, to really put a lot of military pressure on the terror infrastructure in Judea and Samaria, and also in Gaza. I can assure you, Lidar, that both the government and the army, and especially the new leadership of the army, the new chief of staff, are very resolute in their intention to bring total victory and achieve the goals of war. I see it everywhere. I trust our soldiers that they will do the job and whatever is needed to really win decisively.
And we saw from the hostage releases and from recent weeks, Hamas, of course, putting on a big PR show. But it does show that it still has some weapons, some capabilities, many Palestinian terrorists in full military gear. What are Hamas's capabilities today?
So I must say that their capabilities have been degraded dramatically. They're nothing like their capabilities before the 7th of October. Many of the terrorists when we fought in the north of Gaza, the south, the center, they fled into the humanitarian zone. So the guys that you see with this clean uniform they took out of their suitcase, these are the cowards that run away and hide it behind our own people and their own civilians. And now they're showing off their, their weapons and so on. But Hamas has been degraded, and I think that once the IDF goes in, we'll be able to deal with them, and especially if we use other tactics and also deal with the humanitarian aid.
And, I want to ask just one final question. From a security standpoint, what do you make of President Trump's plan for the day after, to relocate the Palestinians to Egypt, to Jordan, to other countries?
I think there is a huge motivation inside the Gazan society to emigrate. It has been there before the 7th of October. Certainly now when Gaza is ruined, people want to emigrate to other places, and the Egyptians are blocking them. They're doing something that is inconceivable. In Ukraine, 8 million people left Ukraine. And Russia didn't conquer all of Ukraine, just a part of it. And yet 8 million people left Ukraine. Nobody blocked them. Nobody prevented them from going outside. This is what the Egyptians are doing. And it needs to stop. I think that President Trump needs to pressure the Egyptians to open the border. And if they don't do so, we can find other ways to assist them. I think that people who want to leave should be let, go wherever they want to go. Exactly.
Brigadier General in the Reserves, Amir Avivi, thank you so much for your analysis today.
My pleasure.
And we're starting to learn more about the conditions of the recently released male hostages and how they were kept inside Gaza. Their testimony is also giving hope to the families who have been fighting for their loved ones' release. ILTV's Shosh Bedrosian is in Hostages Square with the details.
Well, testimony from the 3 recently released male hostages is helping some families piece together information about their loved ones still in Hamas captivity, and is helping them push even harder to make sure all hostages are secured in this hostage ceasefire deal. According to reports, 2 of the male hostages were held with Alon Ohel, who is said to be alive and is suffering from multiple injuries to his body. It's the first sign of life his family received in 16 months since he was kidnapped at the Nova Music Festival on October 7th. The family of Alon Ohel says recently released male hostages Eli Sharabi and Or Levi were held with Alon for the duration of their captivity. His mother told Israeli TV Alon has been chained in a tunnel, starving, with multiple untreated injuries. She says he has shrapnel in his shoulder, arm, and eye, which he could only see shadows out of. She says Alon has been bound with chains for his entire captivity and at most eats 1 pita per day. Alon, who turns 24 years old today, was kidnapped from the same bomb shelter as Hersh Goldberg, Poland, and released hostage Or Levi. Despite Alon's injuries, he is not named on the list of hostages to be freed in the first phase of this deal. With the release of Eli Sharabi, Ohad Ben Ami, and Or Levi, and the dire, emaciated conditions they were released in, families continued to renew their intense approach to get the remaining hostages out of captivity. An Israeli delegation arrived in Doha to continue indirect conversations with Hamas about the second phase of the ceasefire deal. Reports say delegation expressed anger over the poor physical condition of the 3 hostages released on Saturday. We are expecting another hostage deal to take place this Saturday. There are 17 more people who are said to be released in this first phase of this deal, including American-Israeli Sagi Dekelchen.
Thank you, Shosh, for the report. And moving on, U.S. President Donald Trump has taken a significant step in integrating religion into American governance and foreign policy, particularly regarding Israel, by establishing the first ever White House Faith Office. And to explore the implications of this new office, we're joined by ILTV's executive editor, Maayan Hoffman. Maayan, can you explain why this matters to Israel?
Yeah, so first of all, Idar, the office formalizes the role of faith in American policy. But when it comes to Israel, what's really important is the person that they put on top. Reverend Paula White, who has been Trump's top faith advisor, she's visited Israel many, many times and was actually instrumental in the moving of the American embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. In fact, she was the last call that Trump made when he decided to go ahead and pull the trigger and make the move, despite the threats of a potential major escalation, what some consider to be a potential World War III. More than that, she sits on a caucus that is actually pushing for the sovereignty of Israel over Judea and Samaria, meaning that we would annex those areas, fulfilling the biblical mandate. She is a biblical believer in the state of Israel, and what that really comes down to is that she will want to bless Israel under the Trump administration and through this formalized office. Her role could significantly, therefore, impact not only what we see in Judea and Samaria, but also what we see in Jerusalem and certainly, as we know, in the Gaza Strip.
Absolutely. Thank you for the breakdown, Mayana. Very interesting, another interesting appointment, I should say, by U.S. President Donald Trump. Thank you. And since the war against Hamas began, anti-Semitism has soared worldwide, driving a record number of people to make Aliyah. And making that transition smoother is Belong. Let's take a look.
For many, making Aliyah, moving to Israel, can be an overwhelming journey filled with paperwork, logistics, and countless unknowns. But at Belong, it's about more than relocation. It's about finding your purpose, your community, and your place in the heart of Israel. Belong takes a unique approach. They are dedicated to simplifying and enriching your journey, whether for travel, for work, study, volunteering, investment, or Aliyah. Their mission is to empower Jews worldwide to understand Israel is theirs, to make Israel their home, and to thrive within its vibrant culture. Belong offers personal guidance and practical tools to ensure a smooth transition. Through their platform, Belong offers a wealth of free resources, guides, information, and tools tailored for those planning their journey. From understanding local customs to securing housing, their comprehensive website is a one-stop hub for Olim. And coming soon, innovative tools to help track and manage every step of the Aliyah journey. Building connections is at the heart of Belong. Through events, community groups, and initiatives, they're creating spaces for new immigrants to share experiences, to connect with locals, and to grow together. These connections aren't just about networking, they're about belonging. Belong collaborates with trusted businesses across the country that share their mission, providing exclusive benefits through partnerships. They're planning to expand these offerings into a club membership program, unlocking even more opportunities for saving and support. For those seeking personalized help, Belong's premium concierge service offers tailored assistance, guiding new arrivals through the complexities of integration and unavoidable bureaucracy, making the transition seamless and stress-free. In these challenging times, Belong believes there is no better place to stand together, to contribute, make an impact, and to shape a free and flourishing liberal Israel. For those ready to embrace this journey, Belong is here to welcome you home. With passion, purpose, and resilience, they're helping build not just a nation, but a family. Belong will be your partner in making Israel your home.
And joining me now with more is the CEO of Belong, Eilon, and Miriam, a customer of Belong's concierge service. So Eilon and Miriam, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Harian.
Eilon, I want to start with you. Can you maybe give us an overview of the different services that Belong provides to new immigrants?
So Belong sees itself as a hub for everything that an Ole may need. We have 4 kinds of services that we provide to the Ole. The first one is communities. We build communities and make sure that those Olim can belong to the community here in Israel. The other thing is that we have a comprehensive website with lots of information that we gathered from various sources, translated it and made it available for the not just Olim, for everyone that wants to be in touch with Israel. And it goes over 360 degrees on every need of the daily life in Israel. Mm-hmm. The third thing is we built a network of businesses that share our passion to welcome the new immigrants and make sure that they are embraced in Israel. And those businesses give them excellent services with special discounts and services that are tailored for the Olim. The last thing, which is the only thing that is actually a paid service in Belong, is the concierge, which is our service of anything that an Ole will need. We help them finding a home, finding a job, translating documents for them, going over the bureaucracy that they feel while getting to Israel, or even filling their Aliyah request. So everything that they need, we're there for them.
So a personal Aliyah concierge.
Exactly.
And Miriam, I want to turn to you. You know, I want to hear a little bit about your personal sort of journey of moving to Israel. Maybe you can share with our viewers some of the challenges, you know, that you faced in this journey.
Absolutely. So I'm quite new. I got here a month and a half ago, and I think the largest challenge by far has been navigating the bureaucracy with the language barrier. And so Belong was hugely helpful in getting me in contact with the immigration authorities, translating documents so that I knew what I needed to fill out, what to bring, and even the staff offering to come to my appointments with me to translate in real time.
So incredible. And, you know, how did you first hear about Belong, you know, and what kind of services, maybe you can expand on that a little bit, did you receive from them, you know, and how did that impact your experience in moving to Israel?
Absolutely. So I first heard about Belong because my brother is actually also an Ole, and he's been here for a few years. When he heard I was interested in moving, he recommended, oh, there's this company that will help you. You know, you're not just going to need help with one thing. It's going to be a whole range of things you'll only really realize when you get here, and they're able to do everything. And so, like I said, what they've really done is help with the language barrier, also recommending, you know, where I can go to Ulpan, where I can study Hebrew. And really, it's not just helping with peace of mind, but the process is extremely difficult if you don't have someone who speaks Hebrew who can help you. So it's honestly been essential to my success, like in getting a visa and establishing myself here.
Absolutely. And so, Elon, I want to, you know, turn back to you. In your opinion, sort of what makes Belong unique in sort of the services that you provide for Olim?
So Belong is the only private impact Zionist company that, first of all, promotes Aliyah, and we're doing it abroad. We're promoting Aliyah. We're seeing the journey, or the Aliyah journey, as something which is, you know, a long journey, which starts even in the minute that the idea was initiated of, okay, maybe Israel is an option, and we start from there by showing what are the opportunities that you have here in Israel. We go hand in hand with the Ole when he is filling the documents, when he is applying to immigrate to Israel. We welcome him here when he lands in Israel and make sure that he's welcomed, I would say, not just warmly, but also embraced by everybody around him. And at the end, we make sure that he assimilates into the society and have his communities. So it's a full cycle that I think that we're the only company that's taking all those steps with the Ole.
Elon, thank you so much for joining us today. Miriam, welcome to Israel. And for our viewers, you can get more information about Belong by scanning the QR code on your screen today. And now, let's take a look at the weather forecast. Rain showers are expected around most of the country tonight, with temperatures reaching lows of around 6 degrees Celsius or 44 degrees Fahrenheit. Then tomorrow we'll see more rain showers alongside steady temperatures, seeing highs of 15 degrees Celsius or 59 degrees Fahrenheit. And that's a wrap for today's news. For the latest updates from Israel on all your devices, be sure to follow our ILTV channel, subscribe to our newsletter, and explore our website, iltv.tv. Stay informed with the latest news straight from the heart of Israel. I am the Darka Velazi. Be well, stay safe, and thank you so much for watching.